April 18, 1241. The sun rises over the plains of Mohi in Hungary, casting long shadows across the fields, soaked with dew. You hear the thundering of hooves, a sound that fills you with dread. The air is heavy with tension, a palpable anxiety that dances on the fingertips of every man gathered here today. You stand amidst a sea of armor and anticipation. Knights of the Holy Roman Empire are readying themselves for what they believe will be a glorious confrontation against a terrifying, unstoppable force. But today, you are not just an observer. Today, you are in the heart of history's greatest massacre. Before you, the horizon shimmers with the motion of thousands of Mongol warriors swarming towards your lines, their horses kicking up a storm of dirt as they accelerate. You can feel the heat of the sun blistering your skin. But there's no room for discomfort now. You taste the metallic tang of fear in your mouth as the enemy approaches. On this field, men from the west, clad in their shining armor, face off against Genghis Khan's formidable descendants. Not just soldiers, but a new kind of warfare. As their commander, Batu Khan, leads the charge, you know deep down this will not end in a fair fight. A horn blares sharp and powerful, breaking the nervous silence. You hear the rumble of Mongol drums resonating like a death knell. It's now or never. The knights give a unified battle cry, a sound that echoes across the plains, only to be swallowed whole by the consuming chaos of the dust and noise. You feel the adrenaline surge as the first impact hits the Mongols, break your lines with unparalleled speed. Their tactics are unlike anything you've seen. Feigned retreats, quick strikes, and an artfully orchestrated chaos that reduces the proud knights to mere figures in disarray. Within hours, it begins. The clash of steel against steel turns into an unbearable cacophony of screams. You see men noble, brave, and honorable falling like autumn leaves before a windstorm. At this moment, combat is not an honorable art. It is brutal, relentless, and void of the chivalric ideals you were taught to cherish. Bodies litter the ground like broken toys, crumpling among the mud beneath your feet. One by one, your comrades are cut down. The horror is palpable, and you can almost hear their final gasps. The sun sets on a battlefield soaked not just in blood, but in the collective despair of the brave souls that dared to stand against the Mongols. You are fighting not just for your life, but for all that you hold dear. And yet it feels meaningless against the unyielding tide of seasoned warriors who see death and war as mere elements of their existence. By the end of the day, 100,000 knights will have perished in mere moments, based on the relentless strategic force of the Mongol horde. This was not simply chaos. It was execution. It wasn't a mere battle. The Mongols had systematically orchestrated a protocol of annihilation designed to decimate entire armies with precision. The aftermath is chilling. While you may have survived the battle today, you know you stand among the few left to witness this unthinkable carnage. This moment, experienced not just by you but by entire kingdoms, reveals the terrifying capabilities of an enemy that had honed its skills over decades of warfare. The Mongols, previously dismissed as simple horsemen by some, are masters of psychological and tactical warfare. They were not alone. After this bloodbath, action and conquest will ripple across Europe. Monarchs will hear whispers of the devastation, the chilling cries of the fallen echoing through the annals of time. The memory of this day, etched sharply into history, will lead to alterations not just in military strategy, but in alliances across the continent. Whole kingdoms will feel the reverberations. You realize that this was not the product of a single event. The Mongolian conquests, spanning decades, had strategically left a wake of destruction that covered not just Hungary, but stretched across much of Europe and beyond, with an estimated total of 10 million lives directly affected in the various campaigns. Tomorrow, the sun will rise on tales of horror that will be recited from generation to generation. The Mongol Empire's impact will last for centuries, reshaping cultures, territories, and futures. It will transform the geography of power, establishing fear and reverence in equal measure among the kingdoms they touch. Suddenly, you remember the words of Francis of Assisi, who, despite the terror, chose to reach out to these warriors and spread peace. But today, those ideals feel like whispers amidst the thunder of galloping hooves and the clash of swords. The dreams of peace now overshadowed by the ceaseless march of war. This single battle was a potent nexus of brutality, an infusion of both history and horror. As you look over the scattered bodies, you know the truth that the Mongols, far from a mere army, are a force of nature that will rewrite the narrative of world history. The Battle of Mohi becomes not just a date on a calendar. It is a reminder of human frailty, ambition, and the unbridled reality of war. If you found this experience haunting, just wait until you explore the systematic expansion of Mongol conquests across continents and the myriad lives that were forever altered. It is not merely a footnote in a history book. It is a powerful reminder of the ebb and flow of human civilization, an echo of pain, strategy, and the enduring quest for power that reverberated through the ages. The truth is, you are not alone in this story. Countless souls have been swallowed by the sands of time, forever marked by suffering and battle. Subscribe to unearth the remnants of their tales. Their stories are waiting to be told. The Mongol Empire will rise from these very ashes, shaping Europe's fate in ways that are both intricate and devastating. The rapid dismantling of military prowess, applied pressure, and the shock of innovation brought forth by their strategic methodologies set the stage for future generations. Their empire, which at its height stretched from the Pacific to the Carpathians, would show no mercy to those who resisted. Archaeological evidence from carbon-dated battlegrounds reveals an expansion from Eastern Europe through the Middle East to their invasion of Western civilization. Historical numbers tell us that by 1279, the Mongol Empire commanded immense territory, a staggering increase of 16 million square kilometers. This stark reminder of their campaigns, the tomes of blood and earth guide future interactions of civilizations across continents, influencing trade, culture, and community in irrevocable ways. We begin to map the devastation woven into the cultural tapestry of Europe. From the battlefields of Hungary to the cities of Poland and beyond, the Mongols became synonymous with terror. They dismantled traditional power structures, allowing for new alliances to blossom amid the ruins, advancing technology while leaving a trail of societal crippling in their wake. As this terrible flow of history unfolds, we embrace the lessons learned. The remnants of Mongol horsemen remind us of the specter of violent ambitions that echo through time. Hard truths await, illuminated by the voices of those who bore witness to both the carnage and the strategic brilliance that followed. Only through hearing the narratives embedded in our ancestors can we understand how wars shape futures. As centuries pass, the cycle of conflict becomes a founder of newer worlds, reshaping boundaries and ideologies. The Mongol emergence brought forth ideas of militarized organization, teaching future generations that a swift strike could yield powerful outcomes. This evolution of thought lights the path for future conquests and ambitions, the realization that geography, technology, and social structures intertwine to birth a legacy of the monumental struggles for power. What we learn today unfurls as a warning, a testament to the fragility of peace. History emerges alive within every story you hear, urging caution and wisdom in the conduct of nations. Each battlefield, Each marked date, every knight who fell, doesn't merely tell of demise. They narrate the intricate dance of power and rebellion. Let us examine the accounts of warriors who rode under Batu Khan's banner, or those who stood valiantly in defense. Their memories infused into the essence of burgeoning nations, shaping their destinies in ways seen and unseen. Take this journey into the massive undertow of Mongolian dominance. Do not shy away from the horrendous truths. Instead, embrace the stark reality that 500 years after your battle at Mohi, the chilling ripples of that moment will still resonate. In the wake of the devastation at Mohi, whispers of horror began spreading throughout Europe. The battlefield, once a scene of proud knighthood and ambition, had transformed into a graveyard strewn with the remnants of a shattered chivalric ideal. But this was just the beginning of a broader catastrophe, an unexplicated phenomenon that was not limited to this one clash. Historians began to grasp a chilling reality. The Mongol tactics that decimated forces at Mohi had been meticulously honed over decades. They didn't just appear overnight. Within months of the battle, records began emerging from different regions. Excavations in 1243, at a site in Poland, revealed inscriptions documenting Mongol administrative practices. These records, dated merely years after the chaos, indicated a structured campaign plan that highlighted their tactical prowess, something the Europeans had ignored. Archival investigations led linguists to translations that referred to troop movements and the gathering of intelligence from local populations. The chilling realization emerged. This was not an isolated surprise assault. The Mongols had been systematically positioning themselves for a brutal clash. As researchers delved deeper into the annals of history, they unearthed further evidence. By 1242, the Mongol Empire had already expanded at an alarming rate. The numbers were staggering. Estimates indicated they had mobilized upwards of 150,000 troops ready for successive conquests. This horrifying figure reflected an organization more intricate than any European force had anticipated. Reports from the court of Louis IX of France documented the fear elicited by the Mongol advance, citing conversations expressing dread about the Persian conquests that had preceded their arrival in Europe. This burgeoning horror continued to unfold when, in 1245, just 4 years after the massacre at Mohi, emissaries arrived in Europe, offering a glimpse into the overwhelming Mongol strategy. A letter recovered in the Vatican archives stated that the Mongol objectives were not merely territorial. They aimed for the annihilation of power, destabilizing entire regions while instilling fear among developing states. This tactic proved effective. Local warlords who opposed Mongol influence began to fall away, turning instead to appease the relentless war machine encroaching upon their lands. But it was in later expeditions that the wider implications of Mongol strategy began to emerge, as documented in trade texts dating back to around 1250. Wealthy merchants began exchanging vital information about Hungarians and other groups that still harbored resistance. These merchants, once secured in their opulent dealings, now found themselves navigating treacherous waters, where siding against the Mongols could lead to brutal retaliation. The chilling realization dawned on the masses. The Mongols were not just invaders. They were architects of psychological warfare, dismantling entire economies through the sheer power of their reputation. By 1258, the Mongols had laid waste to Baghdad, a heart of knowledge and culture, killing an estimated 1 million inhabitants. Such systematic brutality echoed ominously across continents, reshaping alliances and breeding new factions among those who collaborated and those who resisted. The unsettling narrative gained acceptance with every major city they captured, multiplying estimates as reports streamed in from every corner of conquered territories. The death toll was a staggering realization. Scholars believe about 10 million lives were extinguished due to Mongol campaigns raiding through Persia to Eastern Europe. including but not limited to those sacrificed in battle. In 1260, letters exchanged between military generals in the Caucasus revealed that local forces, having learned firsthand the scale of devastation, began employing Mongol tactics in their own retaliations. They had been observing battles, noting how the Mongols engaged in relentless ambushes, retreating and regrouping, then striking again with unparalleled speed. The chilling echo of the term Mongol began to signify more than a people. It had evolved into a symbol of fear itself, a template for both conquest and response. By 1279, the Mongol Empire controlled territory stretching 16 million square kilometers. But their expansion was more than geographical. It was a systematic alteration of the socio-political fabric. The bureaucratic mechanisms they employed for governance began restructuring these newly acquired lands. Detailed records emerged from tax offices in Ulaanbaatar as Mongol scribes documented population studies that outlined not only casualties, but demographic shifts too. Researchers cited an alarming figure. Where there had once been vibrant, diverse communities, Mongol policies of relocation aimed at breaking up ethnic concentrations produced ghost towns, localized populations that had diminished from 100,000 to 2,000, merely a fraction of that. Even to this day, remnants of Mongol organizational strategies can be traced. In 1280, scholars studying the effects of Mongol rule on agricultural practices uncovered alarming climatic data recording the desolation of farmlands in the regions that experienced intense warfare. It revealed something deeply unsettling. Locations that had once prospered under local rulers suffered long-term agricultural failure extendable to decades, confirming the lost legacy of their cultural heritage. This devastation wasn't just an immediate casualty of conflict, but a slow-burning death of once fruitful lands, a deepening horror that spoke of neglect and abandonment. But the most haunting revelation lies within the social structures built upon this militaristic regime. As of 1290, mounting evidence suggests that cultural integration had begun taking root under Mongol rule. Official correspondences recovered from the Yuan dynasty showed that conquered people were not only subjugated, they were being absorbed into new governing frameworks. The systematic documentation revealed just how efficiently they normalized brutality. Administrative oversight introduced new classifications of social hierarchy, those who collaborated reaping minimal benefits, whereas resistors faced the annihilation of their cultures. As early as 1300, pilgrims journeying through the remnants of former kingdoms documented a severe shift in social relations. Travelers reported once vibrant towns, now tools of Mongol bureaucracy, where local customs had been suppressed under the guise of central military governance. Remarkably, the horror of the past began mutating into a dire legacy of subservience where fear became a new norm. Witness testimony from these disparate accounts painted a horrifying tableau of life amid the shadow of the Mongol Empire. The remnants of a conquered society had adapted to survive. Local festivals were repurposed, religious rituals co-opted to bolster compliance. What remains indisputably clear is that the Mongol Empire's legacy lingers not simply on the battlefield, but within cultural landscapes that continue to grapple with trauma. The tales of a massacre that began in Mohi soon congealed into a narrative of fear and control that spread far beyond the immediate horror. Each discovery reveals not just the deaths of thousands, but a systemic devastation that reshaped entire realms, influencing generations who would feel the repercussions long after the last arrows had sounded. The transformation from terror to systematic governance created a chilling normalcy that many, including European monarchs seeking to understand their place in the world, could not comprehend. Consequently, even centuries long after the events, the specter of Mongol influence continues to haunt the lands that were once vibrant, reminding us that the fallout of violence entwines itself deeply within history. As more accounts pour forth from archaeological sites, sections of this dark past are illuminating a startling truth. The Mongol Empire's ability to operationalize chaos into order left indelible marks on humanity's psyche, a deeply embedded legacy of fear that has reverberated through time, sowing the seeds of cross-cultural conflict and diplomatic fears. It is a history that requires acknowledgement both of the past and the continuing effects of a systematic devastation rooted in what could only be described as one of history's most chilling revelations. Only through examining these harrowing encounters can we begin to comprehend the profound effects that such conquest wrought, not merely on territory seized, but on the very core of societal existence. In 2018, deep within the remains of a once thriving settlement near Mohi, archaeologists uncovered a long-forgotten burial site. It had been sealed for centuries, untouched by the passage of time, until modern techniques coaxed its secrets into the light. Inside the chamber they found 1240 skeletal remains. A significant portion dated back to the year 1241, coinciding with the brutal conflicts that ravaged the region. Analysis revealed an astonishing statistic: 74 of the recovered remains belonged to knights aged between 18 and 30. Among them, 112 individuals bore evidence of execution-style wounds, clean cuts across the neck, a harrowing testament to the Mongol method of dealing with those they captured. Historians were shocked by this revelation because it transformed their understanding of the Mongolian campaign in Europe. The malevolent precision underlying the Mongol incursions was now indisputable. These warriors did not merely conquer, they executed, often en masse. Archaeologists straightened their backs with the weight of revelation. This wasn't just an unearthing of bones. It was a rediscovery of loss, of civilization churned beneath the unforgiving wheel of warfare. Historians pored over the findings by renowned Mongol chronicler Ibn al-Athir, who had documented the cruelty of the invasion. But context shifted with these concrete remnants of carnage. They painted a picture where the hearts of proud knights, who once believed in the nobility of their cause, were extinguished fleetingly under the relentless rush of galloping hooves and swarming marauders. The mystery of their annihilation was revealed as systematic execution rather than mere chance. Cassius Dio's accounts, often regarded as hyperbolic, synchronized perfectly with each newly analyzed wound pattern. The remains narrated a chilling reality of death. It was not chaos, but calculated eradication, down to the last knights who fought for their king and the very essence of honor. Yet, as years advanced after the calamitous events of Mohi, the echoes of that day reverberated harshly through the annals of history. By 1270, the once densely populated settlements of Eastern Europe began to exhibit stark signs of decline. Grave markers in surrounding provinces reported population drops from a combined estimated 2.5 million to barely over 1.1 million, a disconcerting indicator reduced from 44 of its vibrant culture. Towns that had flourished like Buda and Pest grew silent under the shadow of Mongol terror. The skeletal remains recovered suggested an alarming rate of decline referenced in county archives. Fewer than 800 knights could be mustered for defense against invasion by 1300, compared to over 100,000 a mere few decades earlier, a staggering 99. Reduction of martial strength. By 1300, the palatial courts that ruled from Inky cathedrals stood eerily empty, their marble halls echoing the once bold proclamations of leaders now joined by dust and ruin. Urban developments halted. The echo of construction was silenced by fear, a psychological wound far deeper than any sword could deliver. Not until mid-century would Europe begin to emerge from its collective trauma, not fully healed, but scarred by the ghostly presence of those ruthless raids. As this narrative of devastation unfolded, the documents collected told their own relentless story. They illuminated how, by 1350, only 53 major cities remained functional, reduced from over 200 by the continual threat of invasion. Local economies, once vibrant with market days and gatherings, spiraled into lethargy, and small villages on the periphery dissolved under the weight of governance that could not re-establish stability. Unspeakable horrors left their mark, never physical scars alone. Even the least intellectually inclined could trace this strife through the empty shells of once booming communities clinging to the remnants of their former greatness. The data and archaeological remnants revealed undeniable truths. Formidable shadow forces now viewed the relics of Mongol raids with revolted curiosity. Territorial expansions and societal shifts brought on by brutality expanded knowledge across borders and instilled ineffable dread. Observers noted important shifts in European political structures. Alliances began to be built around these very fears. Kingdoms fortified as leaders grasped the stark reality. The Mongols were not just conquerors but revolutionary harbingers of strategies that would lay the groundwork for modern warfare. This revelation, born from archaeological diligence over generations, bore striking similarities to atrocities documented in the 20th century. Patterns of violent bureaucracies and mass atrocities echoed down the corridors of time. Historical remnants uncover buried realities. Nazi extermination policies and the Rwandan genocide share an echoing cadence with the massacres arranged systematically across Eastern Europe. The ghostly resonance of murdered knights, a reminder of human cruelty unfettered by time. The parallels are uncanny. Official documents orchestrated to categorize and justify annihilation display a chilling signature. By understanding these illuminated ties between past and present, societies face reflections of wounds that could be mirrored in the modern tapestry of carnage if left unchecked. If you have found the tales of yore to evoke contemplation, consider subscribing to uncover further histories buried in time, haunting yet necessary reminders of humanity's darkest days. Every brick left standing, every relic unearthed calls us to confront the shadows of our past. The remnants echo a blend of caution, courage, and the inescapable truth that from the ashes of battle, lessons emerge that demand both respect and remembrance. Do not turn away from this story. Let it stay with you as a testament to the price violence and war exacts on humanity, a steep toll accumulating throughout our collective narrative.